I'm on the board at my kids' hockey association. And the gal there, God bless her heart, she's one of the sweetest, sincerest people. She's still handwriting all of her notes. And then she goes home and types it all out. And I've been on her for months about, like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And she's like, you know what? It just helps me. It helps me process. But the problem is, all of us on the board, we don't get the meeting minutes for weeks because of this process. So I just said at the last meeting, I'm like, give me those notes. So I took her notes. I mean, she handed them over. I wasn't being aggressive, but I was like, come on, let me just show you something. I take my ChatGPT app, I take a picture of her notes, and I say, transcribe these into well-organized meeting minutes. Mike, boom, it was done within 1 minute. So what used to take 2 weeks or more now was done through AI in less than a minute.
Welcome back to the Better Than Rich Show. Mike Abramowitz here with Jon Morrison, and this is a loaded conversation all about artificial intelligence and using AI. In fact, there's one part of this conversation where I'm learning something on the fly that I did not know you could do with ChatGPT during this episode. Really, really cool new feature on the mobile version of GPT. We get into the weeds on exactly how you could use ChatGPT on a basic level, like a real base level. But I asked him some of the loaded questions on how do you bring this into business for the different departments, and he answered them all. Jon is an expert in using AI for website building to, how he was able to scale and grow his company and then sell his company and walk away with a 7-figure exit. This is using AI before AI was the cool thing. And now he's leveraging AI in different ways. I highly recommend you to check out his book. He has a book called Get Clear. You could get it at getclear.ai. And then he also gives a free resource during this episode that allows you to put your story brand into this AI, like a GPT platform, and it will spit out your entire story brand for you. We talk about during this episode, and that's at brandmessage.ai. So highly recommend. Jon is a client of ours at Better Than Rich using our virtual assistant services. So we talk a little bit about his experience there. And I just want to tell you, AI is an absolute game changer. Jon is in Canada. He's a husband, he's a father, he's an entrepreneur. And right now he's helping coaches and consultants reach more people with outstanding websites, specifically building those websites through AI. So get ready for another great conversation on the Better Than Rich Show with Jon Morrison. Welcome to the Better Than Rich Show with your hosts, Andrew Biggs and Mike Abramowitz. The Better Than Rich Show helps ambitious leaders who are on a mission to leave the world better than they found it, change their perspective on what's important, increase their income and impact, and systemize their life and business. If you've ever struggled with finding your purpose, have felt disconnected or distracted, or found yourself going through the motions, this show will remind you that what you do matters and will re-inspire you to chase your highest dreams. It's time for you to become better than rich. So welcome back again to the Better Than Rich Show. I'm Mike Abramowitz. I am here with Jon Morrison. Welcome to the Better Than Rich Show, brother.
Thanks, Mike. Great to be here. Excited for our conversation today.
Well, you have a topic that I know, we could go in so many different directions here, but the marketplace is very hot right now on AI. We've been talking a lot about AI. We have a full service AI-informed virtual assistants. I know you've been taking advantage of that service recently.
Mm-hmm.
We are very much in the same. We're in the same bed, if you would say, under the umbrella of AI. But you are an expert in this field. You have a background in this. You were just telling me before we click record about how ChatGPT was not a thing when you were really dialed into AI, but now that it is a thing, leveraging it in your business and with what you're doing for the marketplace in a positive way. So really excited to see all the different directions that we can go. But for somebody that's listening as a starting place, I would love for you to just riff to the listener that says, I am still a little intimidated by AI and artificial intelligence and all the things that it could possibly do for us. It's neither A, overwhelming, or B, scary. What would you say to this business owner, this human that's listening to this right now, just to kind of clear the air there? And then we could obviously parlay that into several different directions.
Yeah, Mike, I know that person very well because that was me. And so to be able to speak to them and just say, hey, I know that when you're getting overwhelmed by all this talk about AI, and you've maybe even grew up, like if you're in our generation, we grew up watching The Terminator, which is an R-rated movie, by the way. So I got some questions from my parents why they let us watch Terminator 1 and 2 at such a formative age. But I grew up being scared of the robots coming and taking over, thinking it was inevitable. And as a result, then when ChatGPT comes out November 30th of last year, 2022, all of a sudden, you're like, is this the beginning of the end? Now, I loved AI for work reasons. However, I was a little concerned that if we were to embrace this little bit of AI, is it then going to end up with, the robots walking down Main Street armed and just shooting people at will? And then eventually the battle against humans versus robots. So I totally get why people are apprehensive, because we have so much sci-fi and dystopian narratives in our very formative years of these stories like Wall-E and Ex Machina and Terminator. They're all warning us that eventually the robots are going to come and create major problems for humans. But it seems like today, Mike, it's nothing but blue sky for people like me who have to do writing for a living, or people that want to think clearly, or people that have a limited time, to do work. Both of us are young dads. One of my favorite things to do is coach hockey, Mike. So I'm a hockey coach, even with 3 girls. They love hockey. As a Canadian, I love hockey, so it's one of the best ways for me to connect with my daughters. But when they're young, practice starts at 4 p.m. And to get on the ice at 4, I got to pick them up at school at 2:30, which means my workday ends at about 2:10. So I got to close the laptop and be done work 3 hours before most people are clocking out. So I've got to get more work done quicker so that I can be a better dad and community leader, because there's other kids that love to play. So how can I get more work done? The question is, that's always been the question, actually, but AI has been the great gift. So now I'm able to work more efficiently, get more done, and even get better work done, think quicker. And so I'm loving it. So what is it? It's really just a tool that we can use in our businesses or in our lives. And we can use it to write a blog, or we can get a great gluten-free muffin recipe right out of it. And I see how you use it for just, figuring out stuff, getting your head around topics, creating a learning plan for something that you want to learn more about. And all it's doing is just taking existing knowledge that's out there and then condensing it in a way. And I mean, ChatGPT is really the darling of AI right now. And that's essentially what it does. Is it's read the internet. It sees how phrases are put together. It understands things on a macro level based on what it's read. So there's a lot of stuff that is untrue that ChatGPT thinks and knows. And then it just regurgitates it out to us. And then we can use it however we need it for our own use cases.
And I'm glad you said that, because there is a piece of people that believe that ChatGPT is the answer, but really ChatGPT responds to the questions that we're asking of it, and it's going to pull all this information. So what do you teach either your students, your clients, or what would you say to someone listening on what are the best ways to train that ChatGPT, just like if you were training another human? Because if I was going to train a human, I would have some practices that I would follow to make sure that human understands who I am, what I'm looking for, what I desire. And then that human is going to go into their brain and pull out their information. It's kind of the same thing. We're going to train this AI how I want them to be trained, but then the AI is going to go into its little magical brain and pull out all this information. So what would you say? How do you like to train that AI?
Yeah, I think of AI like especially ChatGPT as our example here, as like a brilliant intern, right? If you brought in a brilliant intern, think of like Mike from Suits, right? He shows up and he can pass the bar exam. He can pass a Harvard law education. He's wickedly smart. And he shows up and Harvey Specter is looking at him being like, I can't trust you to go in front of like my clients yet, but I can sure rely on you for information. And solutions and getting the conclusions faster, and even just helping me become a better lawyer. So I don't know if you haven't seen Suits, just think of a brilliant intern that you've had at some point. You wouldn't necessarily trust them to go to like right away in front of people, in front of your clients, but you would certainly leverage some of their knowledge, expertise, and in that sense, ChatGPT is wonderful for. As we give it context, like this is who I am, this is what I'm interested in, this is how I do, this is how I talk. Can you help me out here in this particular context? So there's the context that you give it, and then the command, write a blog, write an email, create a summary of this data that I have. And then it will use what you give it, context plus the actual data, to create something new, something fresh. And that's the intern thing I like. It's a helpful metaphor because an intern is just learning, and an intern is not us. And so we can certainly take that work and then use it to do our work better.
And that's why I love what Dan Martell says from Buy Back Your Time. I've quoted a bunch, which is 10-80-10. 10% started by me, which is, let me get clear of the things that I want. And then the 80% done by the intern or the ChatGPT in this case, and then bring it back to me. And then I'll do that final 10% to, put the finishing touches on it. So I really love that, that metaphor. I now that we've spoken to the amateur, I want to spin it in just a little bit and let's talk to someone who's a little bit more experienced. They're like, all right, I get it, Jon. Like, I already been using GPT. It's been out for a year. I have it doing my blogs. I have it doing my content creation. It's creating my calendar. It's, my content creation calendar. It understands my tone. I'm using it for tone analyzer. I'm asking it prompts and it's giving me some great, responses. It's awesome. What else do you have, Jon? If if I wanted to really level up my AI game even more to get this time back so I could be a husband, I could be a father, and I really want to get even more time back, whether it be with GPT or any of the other technologies that are out there, because there's so many that come out fast, like Opus clips and using things like vidIO and using things like I can't even
Canva,
think of them.
Photoshop, they're all using it. Yeah.
I mean, tons. So it just evolves so fast. And that's why I've almost removed myself from that pillar of our business where we hired someone else to just understand all the evolutions of technology, because I don't have the capacity to learn it all as it's continuing to go, but I'm a user of it. So I'd love for you to riff on the experienced user. It's like, I'm already doing all those things. What else do you have for me that can help me either think differently? I know you have experience with building websites using AI, or maybe even step further for other platforms outside of GPT that you really like to recommend. Totally. So take the mic,
great
brother.
Question. That's very fun. So, if you're using all that stuff already, then man, you're light years ahead. You've saved all this time. You're probably getting so much more done or clocking out earlier or whatever. So I just commend the person that's an early adopter, because they are going to be so much further ahead. And no offense to those who are still, trying to wrap their head around it, but it's just, there's work to be done and there's stuff to learn. So the fact that you have somebody researching it is important, because it could be a total time suck to just be subscribing to every new tool, right? I've got a couple of newsletters that I subscribe to. They give me 25 new tools to check out. I would be completely useless in the marketplace, in my family, if I just tried out every single one of those tools. What I would think would be better is, especially when you become more advanced, is to do an audit of your day. And this is what I do with my clients, is I make them kind of look at, you start your day at whatever point, everybody's different. Some clock in late, some clock in early. And then when you end, and as you audit your day, you can look and say, where are the things, the places that I can save a bit of time, or there's a lot of manual work. There's got to be a better way to do this. That is the foundation to every entrepreneur's, journey, is to say, there's got to be a better way to do this. And that's when you look for the tool. Is there a tool out there? And maybe you consult your newsletter, maybe you consult your friend, consultant, your AI geek in your network, whoever it may be, and then you help them find a tool. If there's not a tool, then you've got an amazing opportunity to get one started. What I think is going to happen, Mike, and you probably know this already, is that most programs, tools, applications that we're already using are finding some kind of AI solution already within it. So ChatGPT may have been the beginning of the darling of AI in the early days, but now QuickBooks has their AI, and Copilot with Microsoft is coming out. So every single Microsoft platform will have AI within it. So find the use cases that you need, so you're not wasting all your time, and then see if there's a tool out there. And if there's not one, well, there's an opportunity to either build it or partner with someone who can build it.
And Jon, you can feel free to decline. And maybe this is behind the paywall for some of the things that you offer, but I'm going to poke one more time. If there's specifics, if there's an actual listener that says, all right, come on, Mike, ask the next question. Get the stuff out of this guy. Are there something practical that a listener can actually grab a pen right now and take notes of? These are the activities. These are some of the activities that my clients and students are doing. And these are some of the technologies and tools that they're actually using and how they're using that to get that time back.
Yeah.
And again, if it's behind the paywall, I get
paywall.
It should be. But
no, we're here, brother. We're here.
Can you get into the granular specifics? Like, all right, listener, grab the pen, take note. This is a masterclass of how to buy back time using AI as a busy entrepreneur. This is what some of my students have done. These are the tasks, these are the tools, and this is how they partner together.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we have time, I'm assuming we have time. I'll just couch this in a story and land it on a very practical application. One of my titles is a certified story brand guide. So a guy named Don Miller wrote a book called Building a Story Brand. He since sold 1 million copies of it, just crested the 1 million. And so I'm certified by Don to help people understand how to use the framework there it is right there. You got it. You're one of the 1 million. That's got it. And so, I just help people apply. They read the book. They're like, I know I need to tell a better story with our company. That's going to lead to our website, the emails that we write, how we do an elevator pitch, all these different applications for story brand. And I used to charge thousands of dollars for this until ChatGPT came out and you could do it all in seconds. So what we did was we were like, unless you really know ChatGPT, like it's hard to teach it about the tone. It's, where do you interject anything about story brand in it? How do you frame all the questions that you would need to get what's called a brand script? So that was the product that I used to sell was, I would meet with you for 90 minutes and then I would take a few days and write out all the different pieces of collateral for, how you talk about what you do. So a pitch, here's your ideal client, here's your call to action, here's the happily ever after that your clients get when they work with you, here's the clear problem that you solve, here's a one-liner that you can use as your email signature or a banner behind you in your office or something. Here's an idea for an email campaign, a website, wireframe. We would do all of that stuff, and it would take a lot of time to have to type it all out. And clients don't want to do that for themselves, right? It's very hard to talk about what you do when you're the one doing it. So you hire somebody like me, a story brand guide, to do it. But all of a sudden AI came out and I was like, this is like the end of it because people are going to figure out how to do this. So what we did, instead of making them wrestle with ChatGPT, we just created a tool that we trained how to use StoryBrand. We put all the prompts in. And now for free, Mike, you go to Brand Message AI and it asks you 5 questions. It takes under a minute to answer those 5 questions. And out of that, it creates for you, here's your ideal client. Here's the problem you solve. Here's what that problem is doing to the people emotionally. Here's why they'll trust you. This is why you're the right guide for them to get them out of the problem into their solution. Here's what you talk about to create empathy, which is a human to human connection. Here's the authority piece that's going to make them trust you. Call to action, 3-step plan, happily ever after. And then you can unlock some more features for an elevator pitch, one-liners, and a whole homepage for the wireframe. This is one of the best kept secrets on the internet, I think, because it's literally going to save you so many hours and thousands of dollars, all because of AI. So that's what I've been doing for the last year, is building that thing for my clients and anybody who might be listening who wants to leverage the power of AI to get more done and cheaper. Does that sound like an okay answer?
That's great. I mean, that's a great answer. And let's say this is really good because this is under the assumption that if I'm doing either a rebrand of my business or an audit of my business, if I'm in that season. So for any of the listeners that are in that season, I think this is really appropriate for you to just poke at your branding. Maybe there is a need for a rebrand. Maybe there is a need for repositioning. Maybe there is to get a little bit more clear on your messaging. What if that's not a focus for me right now? Right. And what if the focus is we're already in growth mode? We're on the uptick. We don't want to go spend time or resources rebranding or creating new stuff. Like, we want to take what is already working for us and either elevate it or elevate it without as much time or energy? And where can AI potentially come into the mix there?
Mm-hmm.
Again,
Yeah,
I'm asking the questions. You don't have to answer them though.
No, I love it. I mean, I'm happy to just explore. I would have to talk to each person individually and ask, like, what does growth look like to you, and what is stopping you from getting there? So it might be that maybe you're just not communicating with.
What if we broke it down by department? Sorry to interrupt. What if it was by department? What is like, hey, if you want to put AI into marketing, if you want to put AI into sales, if you want to put AI into fulfillment and operations, finance, like these are some ways for you to be able to bring it. Maybe if we think about it in that way, maybe that's a little bit more easy, digestible.
Well, friend of the show and friend of you, Andrew, would say if you're going into a sales call, you could enter in a few. I mean, go into ChatGPT, enter in a few details about your potential client, and then say, what are 25 discovery questions that I could ask this person that would lead them from agitating the pain to getting them towards a solution, and then it'll give you some right away great questions, so you don't have to think. And that's really the thing, is I don't have time to think anymore. And so that would be one example. In sales. In marketing, let's say you wanted to create some sort of a resource. Maybe, we'll just keep the bar low, like a blog. This is what I was doing for some clients, just kind of showing them, this is we'll get entry level again, is I've got 2 hours. I want to create a year's worth of content, which in a year ago, that would have been insane. Maybe 2 years ago, because we had other ways to do AI. But let's say 2 years ago, you would have had to, take your nights or your Saturdays or your Sunday mornings, and you would have had to write some content, unless you had an internal person, in which case you're paying, many, many thousands of dollars for them. So now you're like, I got 2 hours. I want to create I want to create a year of content. And so you just say, this is my industry. Here's our ideal client. I will need 12 ideas for blogs for the year. And it gives you 12 ideas. I'd say, give me 12 more. Now you have 24 ideas. Now you take the best 12. And then you take the first idea, say, give me write a blog on this. Or maybe I'd say, give me a blog outline, because I might have some thoughts, right, to contribute to the skeleton of the blog. So I put in my own thoughts quickly. That's the part of the 10% that you would do in the beginning, and then say, write a blog on this. Then I have January. Then I do the same for February, March, April, May. So now I have a year's worth of blog content, and then I would say, take this blog and turn it into a newsletter. Now I have a newsletter, and then I would say, take this newsletter and turn it into 4 social media posts. Well, now I get these little posts, and I would say, take one of these posts and turn it into a 1-minute TikTok video, TikTok style talking head video. And then it's going to, give me a little script, and then I'll take out my phone. There's lots of cool apps these days. One is called Caption, and I'm actually going to have the script right in front of me on the left and my phone on the right. I'm going to be looking at the script while talking, and I'm going to add an auto eye correction, so that I'm literally just talking to it looks like I'm talking to the phone camera, but actually I'm reading from a script. And I've literally done that, a whole year of content, Mike, in under 2 hours, including TikTok scripts, and all that. So that's the marketing side. So we've done sales, we've done marketing. I'll let you, what industry do we want to go in next that AI can help us?
So if we went into, this is great, by the way. Thanks for going this direction. This is awesome.
Oh, so fun.
So we hit on the branding, which if you wanted to extend anything else on the website front on the branding or any of that, you could hit on that. And then go to marketing, and then sales. So after sales would be fulfillment. So client fulfillment or delivery for obviously so many different industries, but anything there. And then operations, potentially like internal staff, internal operations to support that fulfillment, hiring, HR, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then finance.
Oh, man. Yeah. So just quickly, let's just rapid fire. HR, I would create a list of interview questions, and then, you could, if you really, I don't know if I would trust the ChatGPT privacy and compliance and all this, but you could literally record the interview and use the transcript, and then evaluate, ask AI to create a summary. Because if you're not the actual one doing the hiring, maybe you're just doing the interview and someone else higher up has to do the hiring, you could create a summary for each person. That would just save you so much time, right? Here's one thing that I did. I don't know if this is interesting. This is really right in the weeds, but Forgive me, Mike, because I use you guys in your VA service, but I wanted to get this done quickly. So I have I have 8 webinars that I hosted, and I was talking about a certain topic. And for them to get the credit for it, they had to be at all 8 sessions. In the old days, I would have to take the Zoom CSV file and like literally check every single person. Instead, what I did is I took all 8 CSV files, loaded them into ChatGPT, and I said, go through this attendance list and give me a list of all the people that made it to all the sessions. Okay, so now I have the list of the ones that are the only ones that qualify for the CE credit. Well, now I've got to make a certificate. So Canva has this great software where you can have a template certificate and then just plug in the names. So I said to ChatGPT, take the names of the people that made it, put it into a CSV file where the only column is just first and last name, because Zoom had broken it into first name and last name into 2 columns. I wanted a CSV file with just 1 column, and that's all the information I needed. So I gave that to Canva with its bulk creator app, and I said, create a certificate for each and every one of these people. And then the only difference was the little name placeholder, right? So it spat out, 40 JPEGs or PDFs, whatever the final format was. And then all of a sudden it was done in like under an hour. So can you imagine how long that would have taken without the use of technology? And again, all I care about is the getting the work done. It looks good and it saves me time. So now what could have taken 8 hours or cost me 8 hours of someone else's time is now done in no time. And now what am I going to do with my time? I have freedom to spend my time the way I want. I could have done more work. I could have picked up a hobby. I could have jumped on the floor and played with my kids. Could have put on my skates and been a hockey coach. But I have more time to do stuff that otherwise would have taken less time. And that, Mike, is why I love AI. It's not because I love the robots. It's not because I love disruption. It's because I love freeing up business owners to give them back more time. And I think AI is one of the best tools to do that. VA is good processes. Automation is great, but AI is one great tool that we have in our box now that we didn't have a few years ago.
That is a great example. We need more weed examples here, because that was perfect.
Was that fun?
And that's
there's
perfect.
no playbook for that, right? You just gotta think that through. You gotta think like, how can I not do this so manually? And that's why we have to do an audit of what's going to take us so much time and how can I make this smarter?
And it's a great example for twofold. The listener to say, wow, that's a great use case of how I could use AI. And there's also might be a listener to say, that's a great use case on how might I be able to create a process around that. So now, like using a camcorder method as an example, like Dan Martell talks about, if that 1 hour of Jon doing this was recorded, right, assuming it was, now he would never have to do it again, because now the whole process, give it to my VA team. So you give it to your Better Than Rich virtual assistant, say, take this Loom video, this hour video of me doing this thing, create an SOP, put it into a playbook. And that way, the next time I need this done, we have a process built and I never have to do it ever again. And that's how I have freed up my time on all those tasks that I think, here's the disillusionment that I've realized with myself until I had enough pain. I do a task thinking it's going to be the first time and the only time I ever need to do that task. So it's like, I'm just going to do this and get it done because no one else could do it as fast as me. So I'm just going to do it, because if I have to teach it someone, I got to do it twice. My disillusionment in the moment is I'm only going to have to do this one time. It used to take me 3 or 4 times of doing the same daggone thing for me to have the revelation. I'm like, I've got to document this for someone else to do. So I got to the point where it's like, every time I do a task now, I'm using the camcorder method of recording me doing the task and having someone on my virtual assistant team at Better Than Rich to create a SOP for me, even if it's the first time. So that way, if there happens to be a second and third or a fourth time, I still don't have to do it ever again, even though I was only doing it for that first time. So I think there's 2 really beautiful gifts that you're sharing there with your example, because I'm guilty of that all the time, where I do a project, I tackle the project, and then it stops with me. So I will now no longer do and tackle a project where it stops with me just in case the project has to be done again. So I really appreciate that reflection.
Yeah.
I'll kick it to you in case there's anything you want to piggyback
No,
on
I
that,
think
but I'd love to keep it going.
that's why I loved working with you guys. That's why I was so sold on your plan, is because it's like you could have people that say, "Hey, I'll help you leverage the power of a VA if you don't have one." And then you have other people that say, "Hey, we'll help you leverage the power of AI." And what you're doing, and what I loved it so much and I jumped on board so quickly, is because you said, "I'll help you leverage the power of AI and a VA put together." And that to me is dynamic. So that's what you're doing, and that's what I see is such a great opportunity, Mike. So thank you for helping me see that those two work together. And even just now, I'm like, yeah, I should have been documenting this, and I should be documenting it going forward.
Hey, that's a little gift to everyone. Highly recommend. That's Camcorder method. Buy back your time. Dan Martell. I use Loom for that technology.
Yeah.
I'll give you a personal example. It happened this week. I took my son yesterday to his speech therapy appointment, and he's working with a speech therapist. And we have a nanny here that works with my son James too. So as he's at the speech therapy, I'm watching her, and I'm like, man, this is really good. So I asked her. I said, "Can I record you doing this?" And she said, "Yeah, of course." So I recorded it. Now, I immediately went to my camera app on my phone. I was going to record it on my phone, but I'm like, shit, then it stuck with me. So instead, I recorded it on Loom. So on Loom, I recorded the video on Loom, and Loom has this like AI stuff on the back end where number one, it gives me the transcription. Number two, it gives me a summary. And number three, it's a link, so nobody has to download the video. It's just in the cloud, so it's easy access for my nanny, for my wife, for myself to easily revisit. And then I could even take it a step further, take the transcription. If I don't like Loom summary that it gave me, I could run the transcription through GPT and say, what are the top 5 points of this? If my nanny needs to be a speech therapist for my son, what's the best way for us to do this? Or, there's so many different ways for me to do something in my personal life using technology, using AI.
So good.
Just thinking differently. It's pretty awesome.
Mike,
by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, but it was so compelling. I just want to say to the person who maybe is still on the fence about AI, if you're scared of AI, just think of Mike sitting there with his speech therapist and his child thinking, can I use AI to help me train my kid with speech therapy? And is this going to be such a bad thing, right? Like, what are we scared about when that's one of the use cases, right? Like, to me, yes, there are conversations that have to happen at the EU level, and Elon is having them, and Sam Altman is having them. But those aren't the conversations that I'm ever invited to. So I'm not going to get overwhelmed in those. What I care about is my circle and my family and my clients and small business owners that can be doing stuff like this to make their world better. And that's what I think. That's why I'm so bullish when it comes to AI and AI integration, because I just don't want people scared when there's so many great opportunities like what you just mentioned.
That's cool. And what I was going to click on is the reason why is because the week before she gave me a packet of 3 pages. And I brought those 3 pages home to my wife and nanny, and they read through it and they're like, so what else should we know about this? I'm like, that's all I got. Like, I didn't take notes. I was watching, but I was not a very good teacher. Mm-hmm. And that's why the camcorder method is the best teacher you can do, because it's just a demonstration of me doing it, or of her doing it in this case, versus a piece of paper showing like, this is what I did. And that's why pairing a video with the SOP is good, but having a video along with the playbook is where you could truly master delegation to somebody else who might not have as much experience in what you want them to have experience in. So I know we want to circle back. We kind of got into the weeds, but I do want to take us back just a smidge to other departments, other places inside of a business that somebody might be able to implement AI. If there's anything you want to hit on the website, just tie a bow there. And then I'd like to talk about family a little bit. You got the website stuff. We hit on a little bit with HR, anything with fulfillment or client delivery, website, client delivery, anything there.
I can't imagine anybody is still taking notes by hand, but if there is somebody doing it, and I still love a good piece of paper. If you could see my desk here, it's full of chicken scratch notes. Like, I make notes for everything. But the problem with paper notes, as we all know, is that they get lost, they get thrown away, they get forgotten about. So one of the things that I love doing is just taking a picture using my any kind of app. I mean, my bookkeeper makes me use HubDoc, which uses AI to read any kind of receipt and puts it in so that our bookkeeping is done so quickly now. But when it comes to like any kind of other notes, like if I could take notes if I'm writing something, and then I just take a picture and I ask the ChatGPT app to either translate it or build out a thought or do something. That's using obviously AI. Even the notes app on our phones has AI in it. So let's say you're in a meeting and like literally I'm on the board at my kids' hockey association. And the gal there, God bless her heart, she's one of the sweetest, sincerest people. She's still handwriting all of her notes. And then she goes home and types it all out. And I've been on her for months about like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And she's like, you know what? It just helps me. It helps me process. But the problem is all of us on the board, we don't get the meeting minutes for weeks because of this process. So I just said at the last meeting, I'm like, give me those notes. So I took her notes. I mean, she handed them over. I wasn't being aggressive, but I was like, come on, let me just show you something. So I take my ChatGPT app, I take a picture of her notes and I say, transcribe these into well-organized meeting minutes. Mike, boom, it was done within 1 minute. So what used to take 2 weeks or more now was done through AI in less than a minute. And I'm just
wait a minute. So you're telling me that you could put photos into the Chat GPT app right now? Is that on an iPhone and an Android, or just an iPhone?
iPhone for sure. And you might need the higher version, like 4, which is who knows? Some people will be listening to this. Yeah, 4. Even just saying a number may be antiquating us. Sure. in a few weeks here, months here, but.
I'm pulling up my app right now. I did not actually know this, so I'm learning something right now as we're talking here. So if I go to my Chat GPT app, for those of us on YouTube right now, I see it right here at the bottom. So I could actually click my camera.
Yeah. Just like you send a picture to your wife or something and take a picture of a graph, take a picture of anything and say, can you summarize this?
I'm doing this shit in real time right now. I'm taking this down.
We're getting a real time case study here.
Real time. I'm going to take a picture of something that's on my desk. I have this like time audit worksheet here.
Perfect.
So annotate by drawing image on your phone. Okay. Confirm.
And then you might have to write a little comment, like a little command or something.
So the prompt would be, can you
summarize this page, I would say.
Summarize this page for
whatever
me.
you want from it. Give me the themes. Give me some ideas. It's going to take a second just to read it.
All right, it's reading right now. We could circle back in just a moment.
These real time demos are always a risk, but
here. So there we go.
There you go.
This image shows a flyer, informational sheet for better rich, close enough, aimed at empower entrepreneurs to enhance their businesses. It lists various tasks grouped into categories such as communication-related tasks, marketing-related tasks, social media-related tasks, project. Because this is a sheet that I give away, and the bottom is a full 25-page. Holy macro! Nice.
I mean, I would take a page of this. Like this is my notes for the. I would say, like, would that work? Can it read my chicken scratch writing? That would be more of a challenge.
But that's so cool to be able to do that on the app because I don't really use the phone app as much. I'm usually on the computer one, but. That's a huge nugget. So I appreciate that little note of wisdom. So I'm glad I keep asking the second and third question. What else is going to come from this convo, Jon?
Yeah, here to serve, brother. Here to serve.
So is there anything else under that umbrella, whether it be for anything from business standpoint using AI that we either didn't hit on or you'd like to capture in hiring process, client onboarding, client fulfillment, finance, website development, anything that we didn't hit on before we completely go in a different direction before we head for the exits? Because I did want to, just hit on a little bit about family because you referenced it, and I have a couple of curiosities there.
Sure. No, I mean, I think use cases will be springing up all the time, and that's why it's overwhelming to get focused on all the new tools that are coming out, but rather thinking of use cases as they emerge. And then looking to see what's out there already. And then, maybe either if you're a really go-getter, creating something or waiting for something to come out based on your favorite app, adopting AI principles. Because the truth is, AI is all over the place. Netflix has been using it for a long time, recommending shows to us based on a body of data that they have, other people who like those shows. Amazon's recommending products to us based on people that buy those products like us. that match our avatar. It's using AI for that. Google's been using AI for its algorithm, Facebook and TikTok for, all AI, just giving recommendations. So it's just it's been around for a long time, and it will only continue to be more prevalent as more and more use cases emerge. So we could get into all the nitty gritty, but I think we've probably hit some good themes. And I think the point of this was helping people understand what is AI and how can I start using it. I think we did that.
Very cool. I want to just before we go to our three questions, you are a businessman with a family. You're a husband. You're a father. You have a business. You've had a successful business in the past as well, with a 7-figure exit. Working through that, I would like for you to just take a moment to address why, from your lens, obviously this would be your opinion, why would it be important for a business owner listening to keep family at the center of their decision making? And why have you kept family at the center of your decision making? I recently interviewed someone on the show, Hunter, and his episode will be released around the same time as yours or right before or something. But he said, my identity is not attached to my business. My identity is tied to being a husband and a father. So whatever happens with my business is irrelevant. Because I pushed back and said, that's not the case in the public space. A lot of people get divorces over business decisions because of debt, because of, suffering inside the business, and they bring it to their home life. But you take me as someone who's not willing to compromise being a father and being a husband first, and then a business person second. Why is it a priority to you? Where does that stem from? Who taught you that behavior? Why did you adopt that lens? And just kind of riff on that for just a moment. I think, I would love to hear this.
Yeah. How long do we have, Mike? I just think of, when I think of why, I've had a huge shift. I was one of the most ambitious kids and unbridled ambition. My goal was always to play in the NHL. And then, I just took whatever I was doing and tried to be the best at it. And then when I got into entrepreneurship, I just wanted to grow the biggest business. And then something hit me that I just realized, so for what? You can climb to the top of a ladder, but if the ladder's on the wrong house, then you've actually got to go all the way back down and climb again, right? So you got to figure out what's at the top of the ladder that you're climbing. And I think personally, with my values, I just want my wife to know that I love her, and I want my kids to know that I'm there for them, and I want my community to know that I care about you, whether that means coaching or serving or being a good neighbor. And the business, to me, serves all of those things. Even my clients, right? I see my clients as an extension of my heart to serve. Mike, I don't know if you know about me, but I was a pastor for many years in a church. And what pastors' jobs are to do is to equip people to live their lives, right? So we're helping them know stuff. We're helping them to, in their crisis, we're helping them get married. We're helping them with kids. We're helping them at the end of life. And so I realize now that that's something that I really cared about. And I just brought that into business. So I want to care about people, and I want to care about my community. I want to sponsor, if the kids need tracksuits for hockey, I want to be the one that writes the big check to do it. And the business serves that endeavor. I want my kids to be able to go on vacations and have lifelong memories with mom and dad that are, that love each other. And so the business allows us to do that. I want to have freedom to be a coach, and the business allows me to have that time to do that. So my business serves my passion for serving people, and the front line of service is my wife and my kids. So if that ever, if that inner circle is ever disrupted, and I, sadly, my heart breaks. I have so many friends right now, and their inner circle is in serious trouble and chaos, and even have been broken apart. I don't know what it was this year, but it was just time and time again. I was on the phone dealing with heartbreaking situations of people at home, and you better believe their business life is, if that inner circle is disrupted, everything is going to flow out of it. So I don't have the most perfect marriage. I'm definitely not the most perfect dad, but that's the core of who I am. And then, everything else flows out of that, from my neighborhood involvement to community life, and business life is an extension of that.
It's a great reflection, Jon. And I think more business owners need to continue to hear that message. That's why I'm a part of Front Row Dads in a community of brotherhood of family men with businesses for that reason, because we want our families to be at the nucleus of our decision making, even though sometimes it's tough. It's like some people say it, but their actions are different. It's kind of like you said, you're a pastor in the past life, or I think about, we've had several conversations in the episode. It's like those people that say they're like the church goer. I love my religion every day on Sunday, but their actions are just like something completely different, like heavy judgmental and, like projecting their own insecurities onto other people. So it's like your actions are so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. And that's kind of how more businesses and more business owners, I would recommend, taking that wisdom that Jon just shared and being top of mind in that. So I could keep this conversation going, Jon, for quite a period of time. Maybe there's a part 2 in the future or something, but we do like to ask every guest 3 questions. And then I'm sure some individuals would like to stay in touch with you. The first question we like to ask every desk is, what do you think the world needs most today?
I mean, I could get real esoteric and deep, but I'm just going to say, I think the world needs small businesses to thrive, right? That's so what I care about, because I'll just give you one case study. It's, like when I think about local sports, right? And there's local sports teams and the parents are overworked and they're already pressed for their cash, and the sports team just needs more time and more cash. And so they look for sponsorships, right? And who are they going to look to? Like big banks? Are big banks going to do it? Are like huge chains going to help out? No, they're going to look at the mom and pop shops in the community to chip in some money to help, so the kids can play sports and compete and make friends and learn lessons and stuff, right? It's a great place for kids to grow and for communities to thrive in the sports arena. Small businesses are going to be the ones to alleviate the pain that parents will feel of trying to get their kids in these sports. So that's just one tiny example. But also, if a small business is thriving, that means the owner is fighting with their spouse less, able to take time off, able to take vacations, hopefully around for dinner because they can delegate tasks out so they're there with their kids. If a small business is thriving, and then they can hire more people, which is good for the for getting people good jobs, jobs that they find meaning in. It's good if small business is thriving. That means the economy is growing. They're paying more taxes, which means we can keep the traffic lights going. We can pave the roads, right? I just think there's so much pressure, and it's so hard to be a small business owner these days that I think the world needs small business owners to thrive. That's going to be my answer for today, Mike.
It's a great answer. And I agree with everything you just said. So thank you for that. Number 2 question is, what are 1 to 3 books that you think people should read? Obviously, you have your book that we'll get to in a moment, but what would be 1 to 3 others?
Oh, man, I'm just looking. Okay, so Good BC Boy. Well, he started off as just a Canadian guy at the Atlantic. We brought him over to British Columbia. That would be Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time. I know you're a big disciple of that curriculum there, and I think it's great. I love Dan. I would support him through anything. He's an amazing leader. Building a Story Brand, we talked about that one. I went all in on that book some 7 years ago, and I think you need to read it. But you know what? Let me just use this as a plug because it would be a good opportunity. As I chronicled my journey of learning about AI from being completely disrupted to realizing that the market wasn't going to need my writing anymore because it had really good writing through AI, to building a tool that helped people, and how you can integrate AI into your business so you're not scared of it, but you're actually leveraging its opportunity, its potential. And part of that comes with understanding what the heck is AI. So I wrote a book called Get Clear on AI. You can get 3 chapters for free at getclear.ai, or you can just grab the whole book on Amazon right away, and it'll be there on your desk, on your door shortly. There we go.
Yeah, great. And we'll put that in the show notes for sure, for listeners to get that. What is third question is, what does it mean to you to be better than rich?
Oh, yeah, great. What a great question. And that's what attracted me to the name of your business and this podcast. Just the idea of, there's so much more than just pursuing riches. I'm a disciple of a leader named Dan Sullivan, who runs an organization called Strategic Coach. And Dan really talks about the 4 freedoms of entrepreneurship. And these are the freedoms this is what matters more to me than the wealth that comes from businesses, from having a business, is the freedom of time. You can spend time the way you want. Like, look at us having this great conversation here in the middle of the day, and we're just riffing on things that we're interested in. It's because we had time. We can go do other things that we want that are meaningful to us because we have the freedom to do it. We're not chained to our desks or chained to our jobs. There's also Dan Sullivan talks about the freedom of purpose. We can do the things that are meaningful to us. So we're not a slave to someone else's agenda. We don't have to compromise our values, but we can live on purpose. The things that are important to us, we get to pursue every single day. That's a wonderful gift of freedom. There's the freedom of money. We can spend our resources the way we want on the things that are meaningful to us, and to not always be living in scarcity or frivolity, but we can actually spend our money on the things that are important to us. And then the freedom of relationship. As husbands and fathers and friends, we want to be able to spend time with the people that we want. Also, the freedom to find relationships in our own clients, the people that we want to work with, that we light up when they book calls with us. That's an important freedom as well. So better than rich means you're not just pursuing the amount of money in your bank or your investment or your portfolio. It's do you have time to do what you want? Do you have purpose to do the things that are meaningful to you? Do you have the relationships and you get to be with the people that you love? And the last one is, do you have the resources, the money to spend how you feel like you want to do it? And so that's what being better than rich means to me. And I think probably it's close to your heart too.
It's beautiful, man. I'm a fan of Dan's work, and I have a Gap in the Gain and Who Not How Here. 10x is greater than 2x. A couple books that we've heard. Shout outs on the show. So, Jon, great dialogue today. I really enjoyed this conversation. And I know I do say that to every guest, but I actually mean it this time. I'm just kidding. But Jon, I'm sure people are going to want to stay in touch with you. And I know you already mentioned the resource of brandmessage.ai. We talked a little bit about your book as well. I know there's a link, getclear.ai. If you want to just kind of speak to that and how people could stay in touch with you, please let us know.
Yeah, getclear.ai has all my ideas and future ideas and my favorite tools and just anything that I think of about the topic of AI. I posted there. Also, the book, you can find links to the 3 free chapters there, or the Amazon link there. And even our free brand messaging tool, brandmessage.ai. You can get a brand message done in less than a minute for free. So it's all there as well.
It's great. Well, by the way, guest, I know Jon right now, our virtual assistant team is helping him get interviewed on more podcasts. That's one of the initiatives. So if you are listening to the show and you also have a podcast and you might want Jon on as a guest, I'm sure you might want to stay in touch. Is your contact info on your website? Yeah. Easy to get a hold of me from there. Cool. So you can get a hold of him, or if you message us, we can put him in touch because our team is probably going to field your inquiry anyway. So we could support that. But Jon, we appreciate you for your wisdom today, and obviously being a client of ours with our Better Than Rich VA services. And listener, if you didn't know that, we do offer a service for virtual assistants that are informed with AI. We have a team of about 35 individuals that we staff to help tackle all your to-do list stuff for you, from everything video editing to graphic design or workbook creation or outreach or inbox management, calendar management. I mean, and our team is learning new items by the week. So we're constantly looking to evolve and add more value to the marketplace. So if that's a need for you, you can go to va.betterthanrich.com, VA as in virtual assistant, .betterthanrich.com, and you could arrange a call with someone on our team for a 90-day delegation plan. We'll map out all your tasks, things that we could offload for you. And then if it makes sense for our team to do that for you, obviously we could have that conversation. But either way, I think it would be a value for you to check us out if you're in that position where you just want to get some of those tasks offloaded. But again, listener, we always appreciate you joining us on the show. And as always, leave today better than you found it. Until next time, we'll see you then. Cheers. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram at betterthan_rich and join our Facebook group at The Better Than Rich Show. Thanks again for listening. We look forward to seeing you next time. And remember, leave today better than you found it.